A very good morning, it's Fabio and welcome back to EURUSD and an update on all of the major dollar pairs including gold. Now, I arrived last night in Amsterdam at 3 AM, so I'm on a few hours of sleep, but we are back with another market update here for you, starting with EURUSD, which has retraced up higher again in towards this area of supply. Now, the overall market structure that we have here for EURUSD is obviously still bullish with an impulse up, a retracement down, an impulse up, a retracement down, and potentially what could be in the future another impulse in towards the highs. However, we are currently in the overall pullback phase, as after the break of structure, what has price started to do here? Price has started to retrace in towards the downside, creating some form of market structure internally and some form of order flow. And in addition to that, the overall fractal structure also aligns with, let's say, a pullback phase where we've seen a daily change of character, which signals that there are some definite sellers in control at the moment, with this area of supply also here being currently the overall area of resistance. Now, within this area of supply, I'm looking for the market to potentially push down lower here on EURUSD. Now, the reason why I'm still looking for a further downside push here from EURUSD is because the market, well within its pullback phase that we have here, the orange zone, has not reacted to anything significant here, which for me could really be a sign that the market is ready to make another impulse up higher. Now, if we look at the previous pullback that we had with this retracement here, we can clearly see that the market overall took, let's say, the major liquidity low over here, which is for me a bump in the road. Now, when we have this overall impulse up, we have a small retracement here and then another impulse up, causing this to be the bump in the road. For the rest, within this leg, there was not really any clear area of demand, so then I just focused purely on liquidity. And now we have pretty much the same situation where within this overall impulse up, the market is currently not reacting to a significant liquidity low. The overall significant liquidity low is the low over here. So I'm pretty much waiting for another short opportunity for back down in towards this low before then looking for another long, or just following the overall direct order flow, for example, further in towards the downside. Now, that for me is then the reason why I'm pretty much focused mainly on looking to see if we can get further shorts in towards the downside here on EURUSD. Then if I go to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that the immediate market structure is also bearish, right? So we're creating lower lows and lower highs. And now we have to see where price is currently trading at. Now, when we look at where price is currently trading, we can clearly see again that this here is an overall impulse in towards the downside. Now, my rule is very, very simple. When we have an overall impulse in towards the downside, within that impulse, we need to look for liquidity. And liquidity can be identified by, for example, looking for a bump in the road. Now, again, here we have a very clear bump in the road. So above that high there, that is where liquidity lies. And what do you want to see once that liquidity high gets taken? You want to see a change of character, a change in market structure to confirm that that liquidity high is actually enough to keep pushing the market further in towards the downside. So what we saw yesterday was that the market came exactly in towards the overall liquidity high that we marked out, with this being the high over here. So yes, then everybody starts thinking, okay, well, Fabio, we can start looking for shorts, right? Well, yes, that is correct. However, again, we need to see a change of character, confirming that the market is bearish and that this is actually a significant liquidity high. But as we can see here, the overall, let's say, imbalance here has continued to push the market up higher. So what you now pretty much want to see, for example, is maybe one more drive back up in towards the highs, because that would mean that, for example, then the 4-hour time frame has a change of character low positioned here on the black line. And then what I would be looking for is, for example, the black line to break. Then we have a clear buy for the sell over here. And then inside of there, I would then be looking for a real downside continuation trade. Now, again, this is yet to play out. That is the ideal scenario. Who knows? Maybe EURUSD just starts selling off today in towards the lows. Then what I'll be doing is I'll just be waiting for the market structure shift here to happen. We've now taken out this little range liquidity internally. And then I would be looking for this. Then this here is the buy for the sell. That took out this kind of like, little range here, and then I'll be looking for the retest and then for a further downside continuation trade. So those are kind of like the two scenarios that I've painted out in my head at the moment and that I'm waiting for. I'm personally not looking for longs, but that is currently the setup that I would love to see. Either one of the two. Now, Fabio, why are you then looking for a EURUSD long position? Well, that has to do, or a short position, excuse me, that has to do with the dollar index. So the dollar index seems to be in some way bottoming out to a certain extent from a technical perspective, and the chart may seem very, very messy. I'm just going to clean it up nice for you guys. all you have to understand is that after seeing a massive sell-off in towards the downside, we've started to see an overall descending correction. Now, a descending correction, also known as a descending channel, is a sign very often that the market is bottoming out and ready to reverse. Because what do we see? Well, we see the market going from a very impulsive phase where we have massive swings in towards the downside, where yes, we get swings in towards the downside, but much choppier and much slower, and they take a lot longer. And what happens is that once you break kind of like a low here, straight away the market retraces, breaks the low, pretty much straight away the market retraces again. Now, even here on the second low, what happens? The market just grabs that massive liquidity and then straight away a V-shaped reversal in towards the highs, again indicating that there are buyers in control. Now, when we look at it as descending channel slash wedge, you want to read it like this. You always want to look for a 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, and then either a third trendline touch, that is rule number 1, or a fake out with a V-shaped reversal on the second low, which we've had over here. So that for me is kind of like enough to say, okay, the market might be ready to reverse up higher now. Now, looking here at the daily time frame, we can then see, okay, here we have a sell for the buy that is currently kind of like the demand zone that is in control. And I'm now looking to see if this can push the market up higher. And then I would say into where? Well, in towards the very first high of all of these descending highs, which are acting as liquidity, okay? So I'm looking for the market to push up higher here from that demand zone to take out that liquidity. And then, okay, on the lower time frame, how can we then identify that the market is ready to reverse up higher? Well, what do we need? We need liquidity to engineer the next leg up. So here on the dollar index, what I'm waiting for is still for this low here to get taken out. And then once that low gets taken out, I'm happy to look for long. Why this low needs to be taken out? Because there's no liquidity in the overall push up. So as simple as that. Now, going into GBPUSD, what can we then see there? Well, GBPUSD is still in its overall impulsive phase, right? So on the higher time frame, we can clearly see here that the market, after taking out this massive liquidity high over here, is within its impulsive phase. The market is still well within this buy before the sell over here. So within that buy before the sell, I'm then ready to look for a short position. Now, again, we look at the buy before the sell. What do we see? Overall impulse. Within that impulse, what do I identify? Liquidity. This here is my liquidity high. And now what I'm waiting for is for that liquidity high to get taken out, and then for the 4-hour change of character to happen, and then I'll sell GBPUSD in towards the downside. Now, moving on into AUDUSD, we can see that AUDUSD has been pushing up higher, did not react to this area of supply over here at all. So again, no shorts to be taken. Obviously, I've also mentioned that AUDUSD is a little bit more bullish than the others, where we've seen a strong impulse up, then a clear retracement down, and now who knows, maybe the next impulsive phase up is going to start. But let's see. The daily supply zone here is still in control. I would only be looking for longs if we break that, then retest the overall sell for the buy, and then start looking for longs maybe. But it's not definitely my favorite setup, but that is definitely a possibility. For now, what I see as a possibility is that there could be one more sell-off in towards the downside from this liquidity high over here. So again, here we have a supply zone, but in that, let's say, leg down, there's no liquidity. So that's why it was very likely that we're going to take out this high. Now the market is retraced into this supply zone over here. So if you would, for example, see a 1-hour change of character, well, sadly, the 1-hour change of character low is all the way down over here. Then you could start looking for a short back in towards the downside. Otherwise, just follow the overall direct order flow up higher for now. But let's see if this supply zone is ready to push the market down lower. Going into NZDUSD, we can see that NZDUSD is still very, let's say, bearish. Overall, what I've been looking for is just, again, for further short positions, but I'm still waiting for the market to reaccumulate a little bit more in the sense that it needs to grab some internal liquidity before I can look for another short position. So some of you might be looking at this supply zone over here. Could happen, but I'm really favoring that supply zone to be taken out, retracement in towards this supply zone over here, and then from there look for a short position after getting some bearish confirmation in the form of a change of character. So that's kind of like the short position I'm waiting for. So NZDUSD still needs more development. And then we have USDCHF, USD Yen, USDCAD, and Gold. USDCHF has taken that liquidity high over here and started to push down lower. For USDCHF, I'm only looking for shorts once we break this overall demand zone here, and then we could look for shorts again. As simple as that. For the rest, I'm kind of staying a little bit passive on this one for now, just because the dollar index looks good for another drive up higher, which means that USD Swiss could see another drive up higher. Obviously, this is kind of like your overall swing structure. We've retraced again exactly into the 0.5 fib. We've taken out a bump in the road here. So yes, market could just start selling off, but for more confirmation, I'll wait for this low to break. then a retest of the buy before the sell down, which is then your supply zone, and then inside of there I will be looking for a short position. That's the only position for now that I see on USDCHF, so I'm waiting for that to start playing out. Otherwise I see there I see there to be potential if we, for example, take out this low for another drive up higher. So yeah, that, if you want to take those shorts, just wait for a little bit more confirmation. USDJPY has taken out this here as liquidity and retraced into my demand zone. So from here, I can now look for a long position. Again, guys, don't tag me, Fabio, are we now ready to go into longs on USDJPY? Obviously, you're always allowed to, but I'm not going to respond to very, very simple and straightforward questions, in the sense that, okay, we have now, let's say here, massive or major liquidity taken out underneath this overall range, right? Then V-shape reversal up. So that means that this is a very strong demand zone. Well, as you can see, straight away price taps in and shoots back out. Now this here is a strong demand zone that is in control, and the order flow has continued. Now for us to continue pushing up higher, we need, again, two things, or a few things. Here we have the overall premium versus discount tool. So market retraces into discount, market retraces into demand, and the market has retraced beneath this liquidity low. Now again, here you see liquidity being taken, so the market slows down. But what do we want to see? We want to see the change of character. Was there ever a change of character here? No, because the change of character high was here, and this was the change of character low. So supply just remained in control and pushed the market down lower again. So you should not have taken a loss on USDJPY, and if you did, then here's the explanation. Now again, what do we now want to see here on USDJPY? This here is the 4-hour fractal high, so we want to see a V-shaped reversal, break of the fractal high, and then we could look for a long position in towards the upside. For shorts, currently not interested at the moment. USDCAD has been moving very slow, actually, a lot slower than the other pairs. Overall, for USDCAD, there is a case to make that it has another leg up higher of another 100 pips. Why that is, I'll be explaining inside Discord, so make sure to join the Discord. It's mainly from a fundamental perspective, but overall we did take out some internal liquidity here, as you can see, because we've got a little bump in the road, right? Push up, push down, push up. We've taken that out, and now if you would want to look for longs, you would need to break the high again, and then you could look for a new long position. So keep an eye on that potential long position. And gold, guys, gold just keeps wanting more and is so hungry. Again, what you want to see here on gold, well, we want to see liquidation happen. So for example, you want to take out this low here, or you want to take out maybe this low here, and then look for a long after that liquidation has happened. So personally, that's something that I would be waiting for if I were you. I'm personally not trading gold at the moment. It seems to be that you can just place a buy and then just hold on to the position. But then obviously you need to have the stomach to hold on to that position, especially if you're at some point in time floating, and you're most likely going to be trading your stop loss. So what I would do with gold is I would just look for, again, a liquidity low and then scale in aggressively, but make sure to bank some profits on the way up. At some point in time when you see, let's say, maybe a more kind of like slow phase within the market, like here or like here, then obviously you can start kind of like getting a little bit nervous and maybe doing things that you would normally not do. But overall, we can see that we're well within our impulsive phase. So wait again just for the reaccumulation phase to occur, in the sense that wait for some sideways price action, wait for some lows to be swept. It happened over here, and it happened as well over here, so it should happen again sometime soon, and then we can look for long again. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic trading day, and we'll speak inside Discord, link in the description of this video. And today I'm going live on YouTube for another live session on the live stream, as always, on Tuesday. Thanks, guys.